Hey y'all, this is Kensie Coppin, and you're listening to the Garrett Smith Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 28 of the podcast. I know it's been about a month, but hey, it's a crazy year, so crazy things happen. But speaking of crazy things happening, I am very excited to have today's guest on here with us. We have Kensie Coppin, and she is calling in from, are you in Texas, Tennessee? Where are you at?
Well, I actually am residing in Nashville, Tennessee now, so I'm calling from there.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me on the show. I always feel honored to be asked to do anything like this, so thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you took the time to do it because I always start off by giving the backstory of how I've discovered, every guest that's been on the episode or how I was referred to them. And for you, it was, I guess it was 2016, 2017. It was right after your EP came out. And you had just either, I don't know if you opened for him or he opened for you. I don't know how it worked, but you had done a show with Stephen James. And gosh, I got to put the soundbite in already. After that, he was like, hey, check out her music. It's actually really good. And so I looked it up and I was just going to, you always sample a song of somebody's. Well, I was at work. I put your EP on and I listened to the entire thing just sitting there working. And no lie, I told somebody else, I was like, dude, I think I just listened to the next Tammy Wynette. I was like, this is really good.
Gosh.
So
what a compliment. Holy cow.
You've got like that country western sound. And this is the same thing I told Genevieve Allen when she was on the podcast earlier on. I was like, a lot of artists are country, but you don't really get that western twang very much anymore. And your music definitely captures that. And so I grew up in Amarillo, which some people say is West Texas. Some people say, no, it's its own thing. But we were connected with Lubbock and Odessa and all that. It was West Texas. And so songs like White Trash Widow and stuff, I was like, okay, I know exactly what she's talking about. Like, this all makes sense. So, ever since then, I've been a fan, and so this was it was really cool whenever we were able to line this up. And tell me kind of what you've been working on lately, because you've put out a lot of music since then. I made it sound like you've just put out an EP a few years back, and that was it. But you've been consistently putting out songs, and you keep the same formula, and it works, and it sounds really good. So, what have you been working on lately? And just take us through moving out to Tennessee and what that's been like.
Well, I moved out here to Tennessee about 2.5 years ago, coming up on 3 years. And I came up here because I was signed to a publishing deal with Irv Woolsey, who is George Strait's manager, as well as Leanne Womack and Clay Walker.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always been a dream of mine to work with anybody that is in the George Strait camp, because he is one of my biggest influences. And so I came up here, and in the last couple years, I have been writing as much as I possibly can. I think I've turned in about 100 songs since I moved, and so I'm proud of that. Not all of them are great, but I definitely feel accomplished in that. So I also have been working on my first full-length album, and I'm really excited. I am finishing up the last 2 songs. Quarantine and everything just kind of threw everything off balance, and it's taking a lot longer than I wanted it to, but great things take time. And so I've been performing as much as I can. Before the lockdown, I was doing about 2 or 3 writers' nights a week here in Nashville, as well as singing on Broadway every Friday morning with the band, cover songs. And I had a good little system going, and everything's different right now. Nashville's been pretty shut down, so I haven't been playing out as much, but I worked on a music video for my new single. I released a single from the album, which is probably going to be about 13 songs. And the first single is called Johnny Come Lately. So I just did a music video for that, and I'm actually releasing that on Friday.
Awesome.
I'm so excited. I've kept myself busy with getting content and trying to build this undeniable project is what I'm calling it. And I'm working on getting meetings with record labels, and that's looking extremely promising. I've got some great people in my corner, AJ Vallejo, who is from Austin.
Oh, yeah.
And Jamie Tate at Ruckus Room in Berry Hill. They have really been cheering me on, and they're on my side, and I just have a really good feeling about it. So once we're able to meet with labels, I will be finished with the album, and hopefully we can distribute it that way. But I'm still just figuring out how to navigate everything as an independent artist, and it's not easy, but it's definitely been fun, and it's been incredible to bring my songs to life that I've worked so hard on the last couple of years.
Well, that's great that you've been able to do that, because I mean it's the tip of the iceberg that people see, but the amount of work that goes on before people start to see that is just, it's a tremendous amount. And so for you to be able to do that and kind of hang in there whenever 2020 hit, because I mean, it's been a heck of a year for everyone, but for musicians where most of our line of work is getting banned or shut down, I mean, it's really incredible to still be able to keep that progress going.
Absolutely. I've been very blessed, especially with the publishing deal. So, I've had to get a couple part-time jobs. I'm bartending right now. But, people do just see the tip of the iceberg. It takes so much work. And especially when you're an unsigned artist, because you literally do everything by yourself. And I know that that's, most artists these days, they build their career from the ground up. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal, because it really, gets you down to your artistry and gets you comfortable with, what you want to say and what's your sound and how do you stand out? How are you different? It's basically artist development on your own. And, I just think that's great. I think it gives a lasting career more of a chance if you do it that way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I listened to Johnny Come Lately the other day, and I was kind of like, okay, this is, like I said earlier, I mean, you keep the formula, you keep it your sound, and it's really cool. But I usually later on in these episodes, I say, hey, if you were going to do a music video, what would it be to? Or what's your favorite music video to make? And then, so you're putting one out Friday, you said, with this song?
Yes, I am. I am so pumped. And I actually did it with Monsell Allen. He is a videographer, photographer up here in Nashville. And he's kind of building his catalog right now, and he offered to help me. And it was just him and I that did the video. I got all my friends to be in it, got some of the regulars at the bar to be in it. So, and a lot of my musician friends. So I'm excited. I feel like it's kind of a promotion, not for only me and the song, but for my other artist friends and businesses and all that good stuff.
That's really cool. Well, I'll play that song here in just a second. Give everybody a listen to it.
You're single, I'm attached. You're calling, trying to get me back. What'd you think I'd say? What'd you think I'd do? Cut ties and crawl back to you. You're crazy. Save your breath for someone dumb enough to fall for this. Could've had my heart, but you gave it up. Now I know what you're made of. Hey, Mr. Johnny Come Lately, don't you come around calling me baby. Too late to the dance, boy, you lost your chance. That's what you get for keeping me waiting. All the roses are dried up and faded, Mr. Johnny Come Lately. Just hearing your voice makes me think of all the empty promises you sold me. Were a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Falling for one more glance. Hey, Mr. Johnny Come Lately, don't you come around calling me baby. Too late to the dance, boy, you lost your chance. That's what you get for keeping me waiting. All the roses are dried up and faded, Mr. Johnny Come Lately. Don't tell me I'm the only one you want.
story from early on till now as a musician. I mean, where did you kind of get your start and your early influences and things of that nature?
Well, I've got a little bit of music in my family. My cousins are the Pyatts. I don't know if you know Rodney Pyatt, Jake Pyatt, Mitchell Pyatt.
Yeah. Small world.
Yeah, crazy. But so it's, it is in my blood, ingrained in my blood. But my parents were just country music lovers. That's all they listened to. And me and my dad loved to sing together when I was really little. And, they said that it was strange when I was 18 months old and all I wanted to watch was music videos on CMT. So much that they took a photo, which back in those days, it was, a wind up camera or a disposable camera. So they had to go find it and, but I started out in San Marcos and Granger, Texas. Those were my first gigs.
Oh, wow.
I started performing twice a week at Cheatham Street Warehouse and the Cotton Club from ages 8 to 12. And I've met so many great musicians. I got to play every Monday with the Ace in the Hole Band, members of the Ace in the Hole Band. They did a jam band at Cheatham Street. And I also got with 2 Tons of Steel and got to sing at Green Hall most Saturdays and 2 Ton Tuesdays and stuff like that. And that led me to get to go on my first trip to Nashville, where they invited me to play with them up in Nashville. And I actually got to sing on the Grand Ole Opry with 2 Tons of Steel when I was 11. And then got asked back by Pete Fisher, the general manager of the Grand Ole Opry at the time, to come back with my own band. So we hired the Ace in the Hole Band, mostly the Ace in the Hole Band. And I got to sing on the Opry with them and as well. And that was really cool because, George Strait never really, Ace in the Hole Band is George Strait's band, by the way.
Yeah.
But George Strait, his routing and his schedule and stuff didn't really allow him to play the Opry very often. He got asked to be a member, but because of his touring and he put an album out every year, he never played it. So a couple of his band members never got to play on the Grand Ole Opry, and it's just cool that little old me got to help him out with that. But that really lit a spark with me and my parents, and my siblings were off at college, and so my parents decided to move me to Nashville when I was 13, and that's when I started writing songs and really getting on Music Row and meeting people and writing with these veteran writers and recording at Sony ATV Studio A and B, and really just get a lot of experience under my belt. I started recording when I was 9 years old, so it's been a crazy ride, but that's how I got my start. And then I decided to move back to Texas once I graduated high school. And I had a little bit of a burnout for a few years. And I got a full-time job as a preschool teacher and a nanny, and went to school in Austin to study business. And that's around the time that I met William Clark Green. And once I stood on stage with him at his CD release show and sang, it was over. I was like, okay, I'm over my burnout. I have to get back on the stage. I have to make music again. So that's really when I started hitting it hard, decided to quit my full-time job and support myself by playing live shows mostly, and, whatever I could, doing harmonies and things like that. So it's been really cool. And so I did the Texas scene for about 5 years, and that was wonderful. I got to cut my teeth on the road, really get a lot of experience on the road and performing and putting a band together and all that good stuff. And so, this is my next chapter, coming back to Nashville and, really embracing my songwriting. But I can't wait to get this project out because I feel like it's all of this experience that I've had throughout my life, rolled up into this perfect little package, and, that represents me and represents what I want in my music career. And hopefully people can relate to that.
That's incredible. And it's mind-blowing that you did, before you were old enough to drive, more than a lot of people do in their entire career. You've got people who are absolute legends like Ray Wylie Hubbard, and he just now played at the Opry, and I don't know how old Ray Wylie is, but he's been in the game for a long time.
For sure.
That's pretty incredible. You've been able to do all these things.
I've been blessed. I will say that. I've been very, very, very blessed. But it's also good because I feel like I wouldn't want to go through that stuff as an adult sometimes, So I got this bad part out of the way.
Yeah, it's funny. I was, I mentioned earlier that when you had played that show with Steven, that was the first time I listened to your music. I was talking to Steven not long after that because he got New Band of the Year in Texas. And he said people ask him like, how long, did it take to get New Band? He's like, years. He's like, you don't want to know.
Oh my gosh. That's one of the hardest parts, to be honest. But I have faith that I'll find my crew and my band up here, musicians up here. Musicians in Texas and all over are incredible. They all bring something different, but I just love the musicians up here. They're so talented, and so I'm excited to hopefully find that eventually. But in the meantime, right now, since nobody's touring, recording and really getting content done and created, I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise as far as all of us musicians and artists having time to do that, because you kind of have to find time and carve out time in the middle of your touring schedules or your writing schedules or whatever. So, it's nice to have kind of a break so we can work on content. But yeah.
That is really cool. And, you're talking about William Clark Green's CD release party and singing with him. And it was definitely a standout song that you had on your EP when y'all sang Why You Still Need Me. And that, I don't know, that song was probably the one that gets stuck in your head the easiest. But there's like 2 or 3 in that mix that they're catchy and they get stuck in your head. But that one definitely is the one that you put on repeat a couple times. So
thank you.
I think I'll play that one here for everybody in just a second.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can't understand why you'd want to stay. It's not fair to you, me acting this way, but you won't give up. Even when I do, I've hurt you too much. So between me and you, I don't know why or how we got here. When did the lines we drew disappear? I don't know why we don't say goodbye. Leave all this hurt behind. I've suffered enough, so why can't I be tough? just let your heart beat. I don't know why you still need me. I don't know why we don't say goodbye and just let our hearts beat. I don't know why you still need me. I don't know why you still need
So, which songs would you say of yours have the best backstories?
Well, this was kind of hard to think about earlier. I think White Trash Widow has a funny backstory, but
It sounds like it would.
yes. But I'm not gonna tell that backstory. I think I haven't released this song, but one day I'm going to. It's called Daddy in a Dream. And it is a lot about my relationship with my dad growing up, as far as him helping me in the music and taking me. I mean, he was the one that would take me every Sunday and Monday night when I was in 4th and 5th grade to go sing until 2 a.m. and drive home. Granger was about 2.5 hours from where we lived, and I would get up and go to school the next day, but he sacrificed his time and his money and his dreams, honestly, for me. And I can't thank him enough. And I feel like this song really paints the perfect picture. I feel like I got a lot of the things that mean the most to me in our relationship and the music and my past. I just think it's a fantastic song, but it's a very personal song. So I feel like I need to wait an album or so to release it and to get it out there. I want people to really get to know me and get to know my story, because they'll appreciate it that much more. But yeah, I'd say Daddy in a Dream has the best backstory.
It sounds like a tearjerker waiting to happen.
Yeah. Well, it's fun.
Well, I usually ask people which song means the most to them. Would you say that one is probably for you the one that means the most?
Yeah, I'd say it's up there for sure. I also wrote a song about my mom called Mama's Perfume. That one means a lot to me. But as far as ones that I've released in the past year, It's the Rain and Runaway really mean a lot to me, because I wrote those pretty shortly after I moved. And I feel like anybody that moves to Nashville can attest to this, but the first 9 months or so, or the first year even of moving to Nashville is very, very hard, especially if you don't have, a bunch of friends and I do have friends up here, and I did, but I hadn't found my crew, and I was, just got lonely and depressed and sad because my family's in Texas and, all that. But so It's the Rain and Runaway I wrote shortly after I moved, and it just, it was like therapy. It was like getting a huge weight off my chest when I wrote those. Just really, It's the Rain is about your tough path and getting through. It's the rain that makes you grow. It might be a storm, but there's a rainbow at the end, and then Runaway is more of the same. It's more talking about missing my family and things like that. But I would go for listeners out there, those two are online. They're on Spotify, and those are going on the album. I am going to remix and master them, so those are going on the album. But if you're curious to know, since you've heard the story a little bit, go check them out.
Well, if we were to play one right here for everybody, which one would you pick?
Well, since, oh gosh, let's go with It's the Rain.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll play It's the Rain right here.
We all start the journey with nothing to our name. We're all the same. Everybody's searching for a better way, a faster train. So we trade our roots for wings, head out reckless, no direction. We make our share of messes, but there's a blessing in the wreckage. It's the storm before the calm, the weight that makes you strong. It's the lesson you never knew you didn't know. It's the fall before the flight, the dark before the light. It's the red-eye drive before you make it home. It's the rain that makes you grow. It's the rain that makes you grow. We all feel the rumble, the thunder rolling in, the lightning, and we all fight the struggle of staying in or wrestling the voices in our heads. The fear and doubt, it gets so loud, but the devil's in the dead ends. So don't slow down, you'll make it out. It's the storm before the calm, the weight that makes you strong. It's the lesson you never knew you didn't know. It's the fall before the flight, the dark before the light. It's the red-eye drive before you make it home. It's the rain that makes you grow. It's the rain that makes you It's the storm before the calm, the weight that makes you strong. It's a lesson you never knew you didn't know. It's the fall before the flight, the dark before the light. It's the red drive before you make it home. It's the rain that makes you grow. It's the rain that makes you grow. It's the rain, 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 it's the rain that makes you grow.
Cool. So what are some of your favorite venues or towns to perform? Because I know you mentioned San Marcos and Granger here, and then you've been out in Tennessee for years on and off. What are some of your favorite places to go?
Well, up here, there's a venue called The Local, and Jeff Reed opened it a couple years ago, and it's just been incredible for songwriters, and it's really helped songwriters connect and, team up and write together and things like that. So I love playing there. I like playing on Broadway a lot too, but I just thoroughly enjoy playing in Lubbock with all my heart. it's just different. And, the people are really supportive. But, I've also played in West Virginia and Nebraska, Florida. And I loved those gigs. Those were really great people, great fans and areas.
That's really cool. Lubbock can be a kind of a tough nut to crack. So if you get a good reception there, I mean, that's pretty good.
For sure.
So you've got this album coming out soon. Where can people follow your music and your shows if they aren't already?
So I recommend following me on Facebook and Instagram. I said earlier I'm an independent artist, so I haven't been keeping up with my website, which I'm not proud of, but
it's a chore.
with everything else going on.
It's really a chore.
Yeah. So Instagram and Facebook are the best ones. I have a personal page and a music page on both. So I would go on there, Kensie Coppin. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the big three questions I like to ask everybody. The first one is, if you could collaborate with anyone out there, who would it be?
Hands down, George Strait and Miranda Lambert.
Awesome. At the same time or separate songs? Because either way, that'd be cool.
Well, I'd really love to write a song with Miranda, or multiple. But I would want to do a duet with George Strait.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
If you could. Awesome.
Now, this is going to be kind of a tough one because, if you've already been at the Opry, you've seen a lot of stages, but if you could headline any venue, where would you go?
I have two. I would love to headline and sell out Nissan Stadium in Nashville.
Wow.
And the AT&T Stadium in Arlington. That would make my world and my life.
I don't know if logistically it gets bigger than selling out Jerry World.
Yeah, I know.
The teams that play there don't do it.
I know. It's so big. I've only been there once and it blew my mind completely. But that Jumbotron is so cool. It's giant.
I've never actually been in there. I've been in Houston Stadium. I've just never been to the one in Arlington. But I am impressed by the Jumbotron. I remember one time I watched a football game on TV. I was like, I wonder if anyone's ever hit the Jumbotron with a punt. And I swear to you, the next play, Shane Leichler punted for the Texans and stuck it into the Jumbotron.
That's so funny.
It could still be up there. Who knows? What is and this is kind of the big finale question, what is the funniest or craziest story you can tell from your music career so far?
So this is really funny. I broke my ankle trying to go down a fireman's pole on the 4th of July. And at the time, so I had to get a cast up to my knee and I was on crutches and I was driving myself to gigs at that point. And I had my first headlining gig at the Blue Light Live in Lubbock. And I was so excited. So my vehicle, my little tour van, was a 1999 Astro van. And the AC decided to go out. So it was the middle of the summer and my Astro van broke down in the heat of the day on the way to the gig, 108 degree index. And I was on crutches with my cast. I had to wait for a couple hours. But I got to the gig and it was fine. I got through the show. But I just think that's such a funny story. And I have a picture of myself sitting in the van with the crutches. And I did not look happy. And I was like, man, I should make this my album cover. Talk about grind.
I think this story came up a couple of episodes ago too, but I don't remember if it did. I think it did. I'll just retell it anyway. But it reminds me of for 20-something years, people wanted Guns N' Roses to reunite. And when they finally did, at the very first show, Axl broke his foot in the first 20 minutes while they were on stage. Finished the show basically on one foot. Nobody knew it. But I'm just like, man, that's 3 or 4 ankle stories that have come out throughout the podcast. I'm like, I'm scared to walk now.
Well, it was funny too. I had to put an old suitcase under my leg and prop it up the whole show. It's a 90-minute show. And needless to say, I was hurting the end of it, but it was worth it. It was a great show.
That's awesome. And I guess you can always use that too in the future if you ever hire somebody for a band and they're like, I'm not feeling great. It's like, look, I played a gig with a broken ankle. You can make it to the show.
Yeah. Oh.
That's funny. Well, if we were to close this thing out with a grand finale song, which one would we pick?
Let me think. I think we should go with let's do Runaway, since I kind of talked about that one too. I wrote that one with D. Vincent Williams. He wrote I'm Moving On and many other hit songs, but that one just kind of talks about my journey and feeling like a runaway, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Awesome. It seems kind of fitting to close out an episode with Runaway. It sounds like it's a finale.
Yeah.
Well, I'll cue that up here. Kensie, I appreciate you doing the podcast. I'll make sure to get this posted here soon, get everyone following, and that way we'll have a little audience ready for your music video premiere.
Thank you, Garrett. I really appreciate you having me, and I hope to see you soon if I can get down to Texas.
Likewise, yeah, for sure. Got to get this Rona out of the way. It's definitely run its course with me.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I think everyone's pretty tired of it, but I will keep you posted on when I release something new, and hopefully maybe whenever the album comes out or about to come out, we can do another episode.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to do it.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you, Garrett.
Yeah, no problem. You take care and y'all stay safe out there.
All right.
Up this morning, cold side of the bed, with an ache in my heart, a pound in my head from another night of thinking, drinking alone. As much as I want to, can't seem to fit in the sea of new faces and fair weathered friends. To tell the truth, I'm being honest, if you gotta know, I feel like a runaway, free as a gypsy, nowhere to call home, nobody here to miss me. I'm looking for the flame on this trail I'm blazing, uphill against the grain, long way from my raising, like a runaway, waiting on karma. Don't wanna turn back, but I sure miss my mama, feeling lost in this place. Ooh, like a runaway. If there's a light in this tunnel I'm in, I'm gonna find it, I just don't know when. And the way it looks, it ain't gonna happen anytime soon. But I'm in for the long haul, I ain't gonna quit, not till I scratch off this 20-year itch of chasing my dreams. They keep nipping my heels, but until I do,